Take one accountant, author and business coach who loves to cook and loves to travel, and this is what happens when you mix it all together on YouTube. Hey guys, welcome along to the first in a series of videos about my travels in North Vietnam. Started off in Hanoi, went up to Sapa, back to Hanoi for a night, then off to Ninh, and then back into Hanoi before heading off. Experienced some amazing things that I want to share with you through this series. And we're going to start off today by having a little bit of a look at Hanoi and just entering in to the craziness that you're going to find if you're a first-time visitor. If you've been to Hanoi before, I'm sure the video will have some memories in there for you about some great times. So let's kick it off and let's have a bit of a look around Hanoi on day one. Hanoi lies in the north of Vietnam as opposed to Ho Chi Minh in the south. When you fly into Hanoi, you'll fly into Noi Bai Airport. The airport's not overly busy. You'll find that you can get through customs fairly well. Just make sure you've got your visa details sorted out before you go. Once you leave the airport, what surprised me was the roads. The road system is very, very smooth coming from the airport into the city itself. There are areas on the other sides of Hanoi when you're going to different areas which are quite rough and bumpy roads. But all in all, good highway system and a good road network. As you get closer into the city, I was staying in the old quarter, it'll start to fill out with buildings, more traffic. It was early morning when I arrived, so we didn't hit the afternoon rush, but certainly a lot more buildings, a lot more urban areas. And then it starts to get a little bit more gritty as you get in towards your hotel, if you're staying in and around Old Quarter or the main areas of Hanoi as you get there. So the first night in Hanoi was spent staying at the Hanoi Center Silk Charming Hotel. It was easily found on Agoda or Booking. Unfortunately, booked a room that Agoda had mislisted. So the room was supposed to have a balcony for the price on Agoda. The Agoda price was cheaper than Booking, and as a result, we're told, no, Agoda's wrong. You get the room without the balcony, you don't get the room with. Really didn't matter. You think to yourself, look, I want a balcony room. But in my experience, the balconies in Vietnam, unless you're actually on a cruise, which will come later in this series, really don't matter because your views typically of the back of a building, and all that the balcony really does is allow you to open it up to the noise of the street. So just to have a bit of a look at the pricing of the hotel. Very reasonable price for the hotel in the middle of the old quarter, particularly close to Beer Street. Agoda is slightly cheaper at $50, but again, doesn't have the balcony. Booking.com, $70 a night. Quite a good price for the quality of the hotel.
Yes, he is.
Roll!
Now I'm about to show a clip in this video which may offend some people. We've probably all heard the rumours of Southeast Asian food, the exotic flavours that are sometimes encountered, and we make up our own mind as to whether we're going to eat it or not. Now, growing up as a child, I heard all of the rumours of what Vietnamese would eat, and one of those we wouldn't touch as an Australian culture anyway. So the clip to come up is going to show some things. If you're easily offended, please look away. It'll only go for a short period of time and then we'll be back. Yeah, when you're in Vietnam, you're going to experience seeing some really strange things. So let's have a little bit of a look at what I encountered walking along the street. Pretty crazy, huh? If you've been to Vietnam before, you've probably seen it all, okay? But thought I'd better put a warning in there for all the dog lovers and people who might get a little bit squeamish when they see things like that. It's just part and parcel of travelling through Southeast Asia. There were a few times when we were in restaurants and saw things such as horse meat, tried the snails, all various things that are outside of your normal cuisine, but that's part of the fun. So yeah, keep an eye out for Thit Cho if you do come across it. Now, if you've researched anything about northern Vietnam, especially Hanoi, you'll have seen people at Train Street. You know, the Instagram photos of the train line and people standing there doing their best Instagram pose and then waiting for the train to come along, standing right next to it. It's one of those experiences that is a bit cliched, but you have to do it. It's like going to Paris and not going to the Eiffel Tower. So you've got to do Train Street when you're in Hanoi. Now, Train Street is kind of at one end of the old quarter. The old quarter sort of, to me anyway, is based around the lake. And if you're on one side of the lake, you've kind of got to walk around and through to get to where the train line's coming. And then all of a sudden, overnight, you see all of these lights. You know that it's Train Street because all of the cafes and restaurants that line it just light the whole place up. Actually stayed in a hotel later in my stay, which was just around the corner from Train Street, and you walked out of a road and all of a sudden, bang, it's right in your face. So it's not that hard to find. Once you find Train Street, a good way to do it is to find out the timetable of the trains. They will say that there is no timetable, but typically if you have a bit of a look online, you can get rough sort of guides as to when a train's going to be coming through. Nothing worse than going to Train Street, sitting there for ages and not actually seeing the train come through. I was pretty lucky. Got there, really the wait was probably only about 15 to 20 minutes, enough to whack down a couple of Hanoi beers and away you go. So let's have a little bit of a look at Train Street and see what it's all about. So I'm here at the famous Train Street in Hanoi, just waiting for the train to come. You can see everybody getting their photos taken on the train tracks, and there's a range of different cafes in and around the place that's set up, as you can see, and they make a fortune out of it while the train's coming along, and everybody just stands here and waits for the train to come. So we'll have a look in a moment at the train coming. Now I'm going to introduce you to one of the craziest spots in Hanoi, Bia Street or Bia Corner. If any of you have travelled through various spots such as Thailand, you've probably been to Bangalore Road. If you've been in Bangkok, you've probably been in and around various areas that are pretty crazy with people. Bia Corner takes it to a next level. It's become a little bit like some areas in Bangkok, like a Khao San Road, etc., but a bit less backpackery and a bit less DJ oriented. It's a bit more fun. I wouldn't say family fun, but certainly there were a lot of people there with small kids. So when you're in Hanoi, you've got to source out Bia Corner. Everybody goes there. It's in the old quarter, and a lot of people are sort of saying, hey, yeah, it's not really our thing, but you've got to experience it at least once. Jump in, see what you think. If you don't like it, you can always walk a few streets and have a quiet beer or a quiet drink somewhere else. So yeah, let's have a bit of a look at Bia Corner and see what you think. So I'm sitting in Bia Corner. A lot of people these days are saying that this is just way out of control and the young hawkers have taken over. It's pretty insane though, you've still got to experience it. It's sitting here having a beer in amongst the madness. I'll flick this around and we'll see what's happening. So this is the craziness that is Bia Corner. We've got this intersection sitting here that everybody's just wandering through, knocking your table ass overhead, and yeah. Sit here, have a couple of beers, and watch the world go by. It's pretty crazy. People watching spot. Not the best I've ever been to, but when in Rome, do as the Romans do.
Gọi gì anh Hoài? Hoài à? One min. Hai người.
So is Bia Street the only nightlife in Hanoi? There's a hell of a lot more. There's a whole heap of nightclubs, etc., if that's your thing. A whole heap of other bars that sort of cater to more of the backpacker market, if that's your thing. And I'm sure there's a number of different bars and wine bars, etc., that just didn't find on my travels. But one of the more common areas to go to is Tha Hien Street. Now, it's kind of like, I guess it can be described as a very small Bangalore Road without the go-go bars. Yeah, it's just got bars down each side to have a drink in. There's a ton of hawkers there trying to get you into their bar, into their restaurant. It is slightly seedy later in the night, but if you're just there to people watch and have a drink, it really doesn't fuss in terms of going and having a good time. So when you finish at Bia Street, basically you're pretty much a straight shot to get to the main bar areas of Tha Hien. You can do a round trip around a few of the other streets, which is what I did, a little bit less busier. You don't have to go through as many hawkers, and then you can come in from the top end of the street where some of the better bars are. So once you get there, you're going to be faced with a lot of people, and really just find yourself a spot, sit down, have a drink and watch it all unfold. That's what I did for a couple of hours. It turned into a pretty late night, but just like Bia Street, when the police come, it's time to pull the tables in. So I'll finish off with this little clip of Tha Hien Street And what happened when the police came along? It was time to start packing up shop and sending everybody home because they couldn't have the seats outside. So that's it, Hanoi, day one, done and dusted. It was a pretty late night on Ta Hien Street. Woke up the next morning ready to go in Hanoi for day two. Slightly sore head, but you get that when you have the ability to drink cheap beers and just people watch for the night. It was fantastic. So in the next video, we're going to have a bit of a look at some of the sites around Hanoi and go on a couple of tours around some of those sites and a little bit of the history that makes up the Hanoi culture. Remember to like this video, also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so as you'll get any updates as we release the rest in this series, because I'd hate for you to miss out on one of the days when we've done some really interesting stuff in and amongst the 12 days of Hanoi.